Welcome back, everybody. This episode's focus is on vibration, feeling the vibes. Yeah. Yeah, okay, let's get into it, folks. Vibration. Welcome back to another episode of Joy, the Journey of You podcast. We're your hosts, Devin and Chris, and we're here for joy.
This podcast is your permission slip to reconnect to your inherent joy and to embrace it.
Let's fill up the cosmic joy pot together as we dive in to today's episode. I don't know why I just like have the good vibration song, feeling good vibrations, like old song, but like that's what comes to me as soon as we go into the theme of vibration. Okay, because here's the thing, folks, is everything in the universe is vibration. Um, even inanimate objects actually have vibration, but we're not going to go into detail on that. Maybe later. Maybe later we'll get into that nitty gritty and nerd out on that piece. But what we really want to come into is about the emotion, how emotion have vibrations, and how every single emotion has its own unique vibration. It has a different level of vibration. And when we're aware and using vibration consciously, we can actually expand into joy or any emotion we like. We can actually shift our experience and be experiencing a different vibration and different experience, different emotion overall. If we're one, aware that vibration exists, and two, if we're consciously using it and working with vibration. And we're gonna guide you through some of that today. But on the other side of the world is lack of awareness and lack of using vibration. And in that sort of scenario, what's going to happen is we're going to get pulled into the lowest common denominator, the lowest vibrational frequency or vibration, right? And that's just our default mode, right? And I think that's where a lot of people actually have more experience with. And so we want to talk about both and see how you can shift that for yourself. But truth be told, that everything in the universe is vibration. Every emotion has a vibration, and we're gonna dive deeper into here about consciously using that. But before we get into some practical application and exercises to flush that out for ourselves, is we want to share a little bit about our experiences with it, because this has been a big change for both of us, I think, of how to work with vibration consciously. So take us away, Chris. Go.
Thank you for the intro, for the start. I always love when you do that. Um, yeah, so what I want to share is how, when we are aware of everything being vibrational and how even emotions are vibrations. And I mean, yeah, it's just energy, right? And energy is atoms, and atoms have electrons, and it all, it's just everything vibrates. And when we get into a room and we meet people, we sense their energy if we're aware of it or not. You know how, if somebody's in a good mood or in a bad mood. And what happens if you're an empath, if you are especially sensitive to energy, is and open. Yeah, to have a certain openness in human design, you call that open or undefined centers. If you have that openness, you pick up the energy of others. And then what can happen is that you try to integrate that, you try to process that, you try to solve these problems that are actually not yours to solve. And that gets really intense and can get you into this thought loop because it's really not yours to solve. And yeah, but there's ways that we can process it. And I also share this in I have like a little series in my Freak to Genius channel where I share exactly about this and how we can process these things and integrate them, whether they're yours or not yours, and how to let go of it. But the first step is really to become aware of it and to know that emotions are energy, that you can pick them up, and that you also radiate them, that you, whatever state you're in, you influence others, right?
Mhm.
And just knowing that, to me, is a huge step already. And knowing that it is something that we have the power over. It is something that we can actually choose and influence, and it's not something that we just have to accept as it is, I want to
Mhm.
say. And yeah, back to you, Devin.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's the big thing of it. Because for me, before being aware of emotional vibrations, I was simply living in them, right? Like it's just like
Mm,
what the experience was, right? If I was sad, I was sad. If I was angry, I was angry. I would want a different emotion, but I
mm,
didn't know how to attain a different emotion because I was just reactively responding to the emotion I was in, right? It just felt
mm,
like that's the way this moment is. That's all that's available. So, in that lack of awareness, it's just like you don't see beyond what's just happening. And then I remember when I started learning about vibration and being aware that there's different vibrational equivalents to each emotion, is that's when I started to be able to consciously use vibration to shift my vibration, right? So if I'm in sadness and I just tune into the frequency of, we don't even have to go as high as like joy and elation. We could just start with like contentedness, right? Like, so like, and relatively speaking, right, joy and elation is going to be a really high vibrational emotional frequency, whereas contentment and like stillness is still high relative to sadness, but it's a lower, right? It's all a spectrum. And
right.
so when I was aware, okay, everything's on a spectrum, and if I tune into like an instrument, you would like if I'm an instrument and I'm going to tune into that frequency and tune my instrument, let's say to contentment, at the very least, it's going to shift me a little bit more out of that. Even if, like,
Mm,
for those of you who this is all new, it's like you don't have to even know, like, you can be messy with this. It's just like,
mhm,
we'll guide you through something in here in a little bit. But even right now, as I'm talking, if you observe sadness or something like lower in yourself right now, and if you just imagine the vibration of a higher frequency, whatever it is, just let it come to you, and just notice how that can give like that little breath of fresh air, just give a little
mhm,
space to it.
mm,
And for me, it was like it's just wild to think that there ever was a time I wasn't aware about that, but that lack of awareness led me to getting awareness because I was suffering at the time. Um, but oh my gosh, it changes the game when you actually start to learn about vibrational frequencies of emotion and then consciously use them and play. It was all about like play and experiment. Um, yeah, I'm remembering a time in particular where I was like really in my stuff, really wanting to like cave in and come into the old vibrations and attachment to like grief, pain, depression, right? And I just like was laying in a ball, and I literally like while laying in a ball, feeling like crap, was just like, what if I just imagine tuning into a higher vibration? And again, it wasn't like I was like, oh, all better, right? It was just more of this like getting me out so I could like slowly start moving. And it is but it's just something to start you moving in a different direction versus just staying inert and just staying where
mm,
you're at and
mm,
starting to use your consciousness to claim your power to shift your state of being. So,
mm. And
so
what's
yeah.
what's also obvious, as you just shared, what's obvious to me is um, when you say, I was sad, I was depressed, right? You're very identified with that. It's like you are the emotion. And I love that visual of a pond and you have fish in it.
Hmm.
And the emotions are the fish and you're the pond. You just hold the emotions and you can become the observer. And like that, you kind of detach and you're not so identified with it. And
Yep.
like that, you get to choose which fish. But like you said, it's a scale, it's a gradient. Um, and it's yeah, we share in another episode that has not aired yet. um, that it's like if it's too far away, then the gap is too huge for your energetic system to kind of follow along. And yeah, it's like making ice expand into vapor in one go. You want to be gradual, you want to take it step by step. And know that you can reach the high levels. It's always available, as we said before. It's always within you. It's always a fish in your pond. But when you are in the lower states, to know that, just take it step by step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's really big because I bet there's people that are listening. There's some people that are listening that like are totally into energy and vibration and like get it, and this is like old news. This Gonna be people who are like, this is totally a new concept. And so ironically, wherever you are along the spectrum, just allow yourself to be at that. But it's really about what this is really about is the power that you have to shift your vibration. And that
Yes.
when you're consciously using it and aware that there is a conscious connection to vibration and emotion, we exist as the pond versus thinking we're that little fish.
Mm.
Um, And yeah, it just our whole experience is going to open up to really show us what capacity we have to change our state of being and not be so identified by those emotions, for sure.
Absolutely.
Hmm. So yeah, so let's play a little game. Let's play with vibration, eh? Right? Let's play. So, okay, so this is super easy, you guys, because it all has to do with, like Chris was saying, is that we all actually experience this, but if we're not conscious to it, we don't realize that we're assessing vibration day in and day out, right? If you are in a room and somebody comes in a bad mood, you pick that up immediately and just knowing like, okay, maybe I don't want to talk to them today, you know? Or if somebody comes in super joyous or something, like you're able to pick that up without even talking. So we're all actually like picking up vibrations, maybe some more than others. If you are, if you do identify with being an empath or a highly sensitive person, you're probably picking up a lot of that. But the truth be told, even people who are like a little bit more dense and not consciously aware and could articulate it, you're still picking this up because it's just our nature to be tuning into this sort of stuff. But let's take it a little further, shall we? So imagine for a moment your favorite room in your house. And if you don't have a house, just a favorite room that comes to you, whether it be, grandma's house or an old friend's house, just like a favorite room that comes to you. And just notice how you feel just thinking of that room. Yeah, and just notice the vibration of that. Right? For me, I'm coming into a room that really like immediately the vibration is like this peaceful stillness and calm. How about you, Chris?
For me, it's my little workspace here. I love it so much. It's tiny,
I know.
but I love it. Yeah,
Love it too.
yeah.
And what's the vibration? What do you experience vibrationally?
Um, it's a fun mix of really soothing, calm, and I feel very safe and like very held, but at the same time, it's energizing and like it really sparks my creativity. So it's like activating and grounding at the same time.
Nice, nice. Right. So like everybody's going to have this distinct way. And notice how it's like there's no one way to describe it. You don't have to be perfect.
Obviously.
All the little different words, but it's just however you're experiencing vibration and you'll experience it in your own way. So just let that be. Don't assume that you need to experience it the same way we do or anybody else. So let's try a different scenario, okay? So like scratch that little scene and just wash that out of your awareness and imagine yourself now heading into a grocery store. Yeah, you can feel it already, can't you? Just feel the vibration of that hustle, the bustle of people doing their things and just notice because there's although grocery stores are similar around the world, there's different vibrations. Like I have like right now I have a local grocery store that I come into and it has that kind of hustle and bustle vibe, but it's not nearly as like the big grocery store in my area. So even noticing that is really interesting as what I'm noticing. But for me, it's a totally different vibration than when I was in that room. This is a very like
Yeah, and also if you take it up another notch is when you went grocery shopping during COVID. Like,
Ooh.
that like that was oof, like don't come too close to anybody. Everything is scary. Everything is, very, even though it's the same surrounding, but there was fear
I was about to say you could
everywhere.
feel the fear in
Fear,
the air. You
exactly.
could feel
Yes,
the vibration of the fear in the air. That's I got
exactly.
I got goosebumps on that one.
Yes, me
Everybody
too.
notice that. Normal world, normal life grocery store, COVID grocery store.
Yes. And goosebumps are also a vibrational reaction, right?
Totally. Oh yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. 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 Okay. So what I just did is helping you guys start to tune into vibration by using the external world and the external environment. And that's usually the first place that people can get really start to just play with it and not take it so personally is because it's outside of you. But let's go ahead and take it inside of us now a little bit, okay? So now what I'd love you to do is you can do eyes open or eyes closed, but imagine that you are tuning into the vibration of peace. And imagine, even if you can't feel, imagine that you could feel the vibration of peace. What would it feel like? What would it look like? And just notice that for yourself. And let's just stay in that so each of us can experience it in our own way. And then now I invite you to shift and imagine the vibration of sadness. And notice what happens to the vibration and how quickly that can change just with the idea of tuning into a vibration of an emotion. And then let's go to the next one and just tune into anger, the vibration of anger. Now let's come into the vibration of acceptance, the vibration of love. And you know we got to end with it, the vibration of joy. And just notice how even with me just saying the word, here's what's wild about this whole thing is the words actually hold the vibration. So even with just the intention of the word of the emotion, if you don't know what you're doing, it's all within the word. When I say joy, you know what joy is. You experience that emotion. If I say anger, we're right back into that. And so how easily we can flip between the two. But let's just come back up into joy. And or if you're in a neutral space, let's let everybody just like come back up into where you're at now. But but that's how easy it is. That's how easy it is to play with vibration. And it's really a good way for people to just start in this process. So whatever that was for you is just take note of that, and not only taking note of what the vibrations were, but honestly overall just notice how aware you were. How attuned were you? And without judging yourself, just like that's where you're starting, and that's where we just want to bring in this awareness of like, okay, so here's my current ability to attune to vibration, and then here's your invitation to play. Here's your invitation to play and practice vibrational attunement during the day.
You know
Um,
what I want to add
yeah, go for it.
is so interesting. Like when you imagine having a lemon and you directly, you imagine that sour taste of lemon juice, you magically get this saliva burst in your mouth. And when you just led us through this demo,
Mhm.
um, I immediately connected to emotions like I connect to the taste of a lemon.
Mhm.
And what was wild is that when I connected to anger, it immediately switched to frustration because to me, they're very closely connected. Like to me,
Yeah,
first there's frustration, then there's anger. As a
totally.
manifesting generator, they're like peas in a pod.
Mhm.
And also acceptance was like peace, right? And that's like wow, when I'm in acceptance, I can be in peace. And just this awareness and observing our physical sensations and the emotions, how we experience them, how we link them, and also how we label them. Is this good or bad? And all these, like the whole thought process that can evolve around it was just really awesome. So thank you for that.
And I love that thank you for this because you just brought up a really good concept about this is the good and bad notion.
Hmm.
Is that please everyone, if you have this notion of that all these emotions on a spectrum that one's good and one's bad, like just like drop that. It's just like this is the spectrum of emotional experiences in life. And
Hmm.
when we have that definition or lens of good or bad, you're going to bias yourself. And but then that again takes away from the wholeness of life, having the full spectrum of all the
Hmm.
emotions. So I
Hmm.
love that you even brought that up through what you shared of that, because that can be a perception that can have us not wanting to feel vibrations of certain emotions, um,
Absolutely.
when the truth
Yeah.
is that you're going to.
Yeah. And if you don't want to, you're going to be made to. But what I also want to add is that originally, I think there was only 6 or 7 emotions, like real, like basic emotions defined. And I
Mhm.
think David Hawkins on his scale has maybe 10 or 12. I'm not sure. But what I find super intriguing is that when we kind of wrap thoughts around the emotions, we turn them into feelings. And I found a page that says there's 23 27,000 feelings. So you have this basis of 6 or 7 emotions, maybe 10, make it 12, splurge, make it 20. And then and then your thoughts go wild, adding all these layers of good and bad and should and shouldn't and whatever. And then you make it 27,000.
Oh,
Right. And yeah, the more
what that's,
basic
yeah,
it,
it says to me is how we complicate things.
absolutely, the mind complicates
One
everything.
complicates
but
things.
but if you stick with the basic emotions, they are energy in motion. They are the true vibration that wants to move through your body, right? And if you wrap your thoughts around it, you get it stuck.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that could be a whole episode topic by itself.
sorry, yeah.
Sorry, not sorry, right? Like that's
Yeah.
great because honestly, we probably need to talk about because this is just starting the foundation of awareness, right? And then we're coming into awareness of how your thoughts are wrapping around that. So stay tuned on that, folks. And that's the magic and the naturalness of the way that we approach even each episode is because we're tuning in from a higher place of like what needs to be shared. And so then it oftentimes naturally will come out, okay, so here's the next piece because it unfolds out of this. So
Mm,
for you guys, where you're at right now is that we're not even asking you right now to even do anything. It's just more just notice your current level of awareness and attunement. And you will probably notice also to just your relationship with this whole topic. And then practice and play, and then share with us, right? Like share in the comments, share with a friend, journal, make it known in some way. Because when we make it known and we're sharing openly, is that it becomes real. We can talk
mm,
about it,
mm,
open it up, and you may be surprised how some of your friends experience this, or some of your coworkers, and it's just like let's and see what happens when you open up that vibration. But this is just the start. This is just the start of this. But oh my gosh, that's so profound
mm.
to um, to know this. Like if I had been given this when I was in, teens, oh my God, right? Can you imagine this as a teenager? Actually, oh, like, oh wow.
I know. It's my big dream
Yeah.
to teach this to kids and teenagers. But what
Mhm.
I also want to add as a final point is
Yeah.
like the absolute essence of everything, like the absolute to me is curiosity.
Mm.
Like if you approach anything, even any conflict, anything with curiosity, then things open up. And the same with this now, as you play, just be curious. Like there is no path, no like you have to do it like this or that, and this is right and this is wrong. There's thoughts again and labels. But just be curious. How is it for you, right? How do you experience? And do you notice yourself becoming more attuned? Like, first maybe you need to see the face of a person to become attuned to their energy and to see what mood they're in. And then you might notice, no, I can tell from even when I see them from their backs, I notice their energetic experience at that moment, right? And yeah, just be curious about yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, because even as you say that, like the vibration of curiosity is one thing,
Mhm.
and the vibration of trying to get it right is a whole
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Just feel into that, even if you like approach this like real quick because we're about to wrap up here. But just notice if you approach this whole thing of like, I gotta get it right, I gotta get it right. Feel that vibration. This is how I experience, by the way. It's like,
Mhm.
it's really intense and everything closes in and the
Yeah.
vibration gets, yeah, exactly. Versus curiosity.
Like, huh?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, let's see. Oh,
Yeah.
everything opens up like you were saying, and it's a higher vibration and it lifts things up versus
Mm.
drops things down. So,
Like if you're in a discussion with somebody and they have a completely opposite opinion of yours, and
mm,
instead of saying, what? You could say, oh, that's interesting. Because it
mm,
is interesting. It's so opposite from where you're at, right? It's completely different perspective on life, possibly. It's
yeah,
interesting. So be curious and learn more about that instead of saying no, because I'm right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean like that feels like such a good point for so many people in the world right now is that we can be really reactive in the way that we're engaging with other people in their opinions, right? But if we as individuals, if you decide for yourself, I would love to approach things from the vibration of curiosity and openness and learning, and from this place of attunement. Like, what would your experience like with people who are like having their opinion?
Mm,
Your experience be like? Because it's ultimately your experience, right? Like, do you want
absolutely.
to be in the vibration of argument and
Mm,
defend like a defense
hmm.
vibration,
Exactly.
right? And that really speaks to a lot of what I feel like people are navigating nowadays.
Mm,
As we do, we engage with other people and we engage with the environment, but it's really this is our experience, your experience. So how would you love it? How would you
mm.
love it?
And it's like the difference between hard and soft and flowing, right? With the curiosity, you're just soft and you can flow. Whereas like this is my opinion and this is right. You know,
Yeah,
you're hard, very hard.
very. Yeah. So here's the
Yeah.
invitation to a whole new vibration to soften it up
Hmm.
and
Be
play.
curious.
Be
Amen.
curious. So let us know, folks. Let us know how that goes. It's been fun to receive your comments as we've gone through, and it's been beautiful to see and feel the feedback of how much the world needs this right now and how much it's helping people, and how much joy people are getting from what we're sharing and the vibration that we're carrying for you, toward you, of all of us. So with that.
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Here it is, a beautiful bow for you folks.
In a
May
heart.
you may you carry forward in high vibrations.
Mm.
Until next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.